Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss current affairs for today, 12th of April 2022. Welcome to all the participants. Some people joining late. Hello Netra, Kriti. Good answers presented today, both of you. And Amlan, welcome. What exam did you people have today? Babani, good evening. Kim, good evening to you. Ashish, welcome. Hima, welcome to you. Let's begin this. All right. I have posted 3 questions. I will also post these 3 questions offline. If you can answer, that will be a great step to move forward towards understanding what is answer writing about. And nothing is wrong. Just try attempting these questions. Hi Sam, good evening to you. All the other people watching offline, welcome to participate and put in your questions. Good evening Tiasha, welcome. So let's begin this daily current affairs. This is for 12th of March 2022. Today's quote is, there are no shortcuts, only hard work. Train hard and be patient. It will pay off. It needs to pay off. It has to pay off. In some form or the other, it will pay off. If it is not in suppose if this is not in this main examination, be it in the next one. If it is not in this pre-examination, be it in the next one. If it is not about this UPSC examination, it could as well be EPFO examination. If it is neither of them, it could be a different examination. Maybe United Nations Civil Services. Yeah, they also do exist. So there is a range of opportunities for people who know that hard work has no shortcuts. Therefore, there is no delay for knowing that there is no shortcut. Abhi let's start working hard and then we will realize what we have to achieve and we will eventually achieve something or the other, right? We eye the stars and we eventually land up in the moon, and still by far we go far away. And today is the day when it was 1961 when the first space flight was taken and people landed on moon. Is that true? All right, we'll check that out in the image of the day. Spread this initiative if you like this enough with likes, comments, shares and subscription to this Edukemy's YouTube channel. What are we going to study today are quite a few articles here. They are one, ITS, an intelligent transportation system that we are speaking of. Netra, we'll also understand what is this project Netra on space situational awareness. Allotment of bungalows to Member of Parliament and Ministers. Agnipath scheme. BOLO App 2+2 between India and USA. Yesterday, the Prime Minister of India also conducted a direct meeting with the Premier of USA, Mr. Biden. And then a food crisis which has been declared by Food and Agriculture Organization. All right, there's another article that we have to discuss that I'll discuss with today's feature news, that is on the IRENE State of World's Energy Transition Report. All right, so let's begin this discussion. The first and foremost article that I want to discuss is the food prices, which are at record high due to Ukraine war disruptions. We have discussed this time and again that Russia and Ukraine have been contributing immensely to export of certain items. For example, sunflower, wheat, barley, maize. These are products that people eat. And not only these products, there are a lot of products which are eaten by animals. So the animal food products and human food products both are getting skyrocketing in prices. Not only that, there are items like milk, items like meat, they are getting expensive. In fact, FAO has its own parameters to understand what is the level of inflation, food inflation around the world. And this they marked with the help of an indicator. They gave this base value of this indicator as 100, and this base year was taken as 2014 and 16, and now the indicator has skyrocketed to 159. 159 never achieved for the food basket of all the products taken throughout the whole world, and they achieved a food basket and then they rated the products. Overall, the inflation level has gone to 159, which is record high, never achieved around the world till now. This is what is the problem, and this is the problem that is being faced throughout the whole world. India is at a very soft position here. India has produced excess quantities of rice, wheat and cereals, 300 million tons of food grains plus, and that is why we are able to export a decent proportion. So India in a good spot here. However, India, you people know that India is receiving the brunt of oil seeds. Oil seed import, it has become very costly. Right? We used to import pulses and other entities, so becoming costlier. India's comfortable public rice and wheat stocks provide some cushion against international prices surge. But the rise in farm inputs, that is a challenge. What is the farm input? Fertilizer, 1 lakh rupees of 1 lakh crore rupees of subsidies is what we provide in fertilizers. Importing potash and phosphorus from abroad, right? Government provides NPS and other subsidy items. Diesel subsidy, petroleum subsidy, right? And then we have pesticides. All of these are inputs and the costs have risen. Why? Because there are some entities that we import from Ukraine and Russia itself, right? Okay, not only that, there was also an update about Indonesia. If you remember, we had understood about the oil palm crisis. So since because they have started to divert that export that they were exporting to India to their internal usage, that is blending in fuel, India also is going to possibly reciprocate. There's been an update. So let us understand the whole article update and then we will discuss what is India's stand on a thing like that. Getting back to understanding the inflation, the key food items, right, they have had very inflammatory positions. So they have had inflated prices and then sudden deflation also in the prices. So the prices have retained very uncertain during these times around the whole world. And this is why WHO says, this is why FAO says that we need continuous monitoring of this, right? So warranting continuous monitoring because of renewed uncertainty in the last 2 years. So first of all, what is for India? Comfortable right and wheat position. Yes, that's true. Exporting as well. That's a very good attempt at India's end. In fact, India and USA have also signed a pact to make available more of these food grains for the places which are in scarce of these resources. Afghanistan is one, right? So the second update is India receiving some brunt in case of farm inputs becoming costlier. The inflationary pressure in food items have been humongous in the last 2 years after COVID pandemic and now lately because of the Ukraine crisis. Please note, we are talking about the developed world. These kind of crises have existed in many other places, Afghanistan being one, African countries being another one, the Latin American countries and poor Polynesian and Micronesian countries, unavailability of food items there. In fact, images, you keep seeing images cropping up which talk about small children eating mud, children eating grass in Africa, and that has been the situation all the time. But yes, now in focus because the better and developed world is also facing a similar crisis. So remember the conversation that you people were talking about yesterday. The developed world, speaks about human right violation and crisis, but then they don't speak about the crisis that they have produced in African countries. This is a great example that plate itself. So when you start rating the individual items, for example, milk, meat, and look at their inflationary levels, the inflation in milk, meat, and individual items have peaked up to 250 from the 100 level, base level individually. But when you look at the food basket in totality, it has risen to around 160, and this is also itself huge inflation level, right? So this is the cause of concern. Russia-Ukraine combined share of 28% of wheat export, 20% of corn export, 30% of barley, and 80% of sunflower oil. Imagine this. Both the countries defunct in this export right now. Cattle, feed, milk, meat, and then ensuing is the inflation in food and all the other items. Because if food is expensive, the person working will say, I also need more finances to save more. And this is called as the snowball effect. All right. So please take a note of this. When FAO says this is important. The second update is a quick one on India-US partnership. The fourth 2+2 dialogue being held between India and USA. Yesterday, Prime Minister and President also met, India and American premiers, and they spoke majorly about the crisis in Russia. In fact, today's editorial, one of the editorials that I have picked up is on Pakistan. And we have discussed in totality all the crisis that has emerged in Pakistan in the last 2 months. So one article, definitely look at that and you will understand what is happening in Pakistan right now. What is the context? Is it America which has intervened in Pakistan? Is it the impact of an external force, as Imran Khan says? What is the issue? And how it will affect India? How will it affect America, China, Afghanistan, each of the nations? And what has been the role of internal Pakistan politics in 20 minutes, editorial and everything around it, total the things happening in Pakistan. So that's where 2+2 dialogue did discuss that some neighbors, but they did not discuss Pakistan here. They discussed Afghanistan, they discussed the crisis which is prevalent in all around the world, but not Pakistan. So important things that they discussed was co-development and co-production. Where? In India. They are speaking about co-development, co-production in India. Remember, America is going to help India in creating alternate energy, and this is where co-development and co-production will happen with the help of business communities from America. America will be injecting in foreign direct investment in the country. So this is one level of conversation. In 2+2, foreign ministers and defense minister meet, but the range of conversations is there's no limit. They would be strategic conversations, but then if they want to talk about everything else, why not? The second is CAATSA law. What is the full form of CAATSA? If you can type out on the comment section, it'd be great. So CAATSA says that countering America's adversary through Sanctions Act. That's it. This is the full form. So America's adversaries, whatever America has declared by law, are their adversaries. For example, Iran, North Korea, China. These are the adversaries that they have in Russia. Now, if we indulge in trade with those countries, or if we indulge in participation through exchange of dollar with those countries, America wouldn't like it, and America at their own level could introduce sanctions, and they're very differentiated, totally dependent on their internal policies, their relation and rapport with the countries. Turkey, being a NATO country, did receive some sanctions when it purchased S-400 from Russia. However, they were not as stringent as on other stakeholders. For example, if America is imposing sanctions on Pakistan, they would be at a different level. America not at all imposed sanctions on India when India purchased S-400. So very, very differentiated. They spoke on CAATSA as well. No, hard fact thing has happened against India right now. How they should be responding towards COVID. This is an important thing. See, even as of now, I was reading in the Mint today, even as of now, all of you might think that you've received 2 dosages. It's fine. All is gone and it's fine. In Africa, there is a huge disparity even as of now. Receiving COVID vaccinations, leave apart vaccinations, the testing facility is not available in Africa, most of the African countries. So aiding the whole world is one major thing, and developed world has completely shied away. They've kept their eyes away from helping the developing countries. India has been at the forefront, and they have only hoarded vaccines as of now. So this is important. COVID response, this is what they have discussed. Supply chain, the supply chain resilience initiative. Remember the China +1 or the supply chain resilience initiative of the Quad countries was discussed. How to have further progress in this. Climate action, absolutely. We will understand climate action in today's feature news, which is on the World Energy Transition Report. They understood about space situational awareness. America has got capabilities, so does India. They want to synchronize both of it. They also America also spoke about in India to be supported at United Nations for expanding the roles in United Nations. They also spoke about inclusion in the nuclear supplier group. India is getting the facilities. What's happening? What's wrong? World Food Program extending this program and reserves. So this is a quick summary of the 2+2 dialogue between both the countries. Right? See, in these times, it seems that India is strategically far ahead of many countries because of these global crises and the way it has responded diplomatically, astute diplomacy, strategic ambiguity, and because of this, world is looking forward to India. And in fact, the White House's press representative, they clarified that the deputy NSA who visited India, they did not warn India on participation with Russia. Warning word was not used. So America is even explaining its stand with India. Whereas with Pakistan, the crisis in Pakistan that's happening, America just ignores all that crisis because it does not impact Pakistan in American or nuclear threat. Those things are not existent at all. It is only Pakistan's internal business. But when it is about India's internal business, America is more interested, which is indicative of America's greater participation with India. So great 2+2 partnership. Now we are going to understand what is NETRA. NETRA stands for Network for Space Objects Tracking and Analysis Project, NETRA. So there will be a Network for Space Object Tracking and Analysis Project. What are they trying to do is establish radars at 1000 kilometer distance apart. 2 radars will be established 1000 kilometers apart on the Earth, and they will be observing right above 1500 kilometers above at low Earth orbit all the space objects. What are the space objects? Right? Anything that is moving in the space. It could be satellite, it could be space debris, and they would be tracking them so that they do not collide with them. That's what is the project about. This is one of the aims of the project. space situational awareness. This is what is space situational awareness. We've discussed this in editorials, now discussing this in terms. This will keep on coming every time till the time you do not note it down and do not remember this, right? So this is space situational awareness, Netra project that India has initiated, putting in 2 satellites, 2 radars, 1000 kilometers apart, detecting 1500 kilometers above themselves. And imagine this, in low Earth orbit, the lowermost orbits, this is the place where you see the average speed of the object which are flying. The speed is as much as 27,000 kilometers per hour. That's the speed. Faster than bullet speed. Far faster than bullet speed. This is the average speed of the movement of the objects in low Earth orbit. And even a small nut or a bolt striking another particle can lead to complete damage of the whole space systems. You've got enormous number of low Earth objects flowing, and then they're useful objects also. For example, satellite itself. And every year we are only increasing the number of satellites present, right? And they have achieved decent level of proximity as well. So disasters have been averted, and that is that's what needs to be done in the future. Space situational awareness. All right. So in 2020, 522 objects were placed in space with 102 launches. 2020. But you see, 1900 objects were placed with 135 launches in 2021. Almost 4 times the number of objects were placed. And many of the objects, after their utility, what will happen to them? There will be space debris, space junk. What will happen to them? Either they will slowly and steadily, fall into the Earth's orbit, Earth, or slowly and steadily they will collide somewhere or the other. So they need to be brought back. Germany is working towards it, right? Having some gadgets, electronic, magnetic devices through which we can pull them back to Earth. So, but then right now it is a very costly technology. All right. The space agency monitored almost 4,500 events in low Earth orbit and 3,200 events in geostationary orbit, where the space objects closely approached Indian assets. Imagine this. ISRO has to monitor other objects, around 8,000 objects which have approached our assets in low Earth and geostationary orbits. So what a dangerous thing. That is why Netra project. All right. Okay. Moving to the next one, which is on Indigenous Intelligent Transport System Solutions for Traffic Scenario in the country. All right. So this has been launched. And what is it? It is all about artificial intelligence. This is about Internet of Things. And it's a very beautiful, innovative project that India has launched, right? So what are we doing here? Are initiating quite a few things inside the running vehicles. So one of the things that will be introduced will be ODAWS, Onboard Driver Assistance and Warning System. If you have seen the Volvo trucks these days, or the latest is XUV 700, Mahindra XUV 700. It's an SUV released by Mahindra only lately. Now these cars, or Tesla for that matter, these cars are automated and they're driven without even human intervention, and one could sit on a driver's seat, but the car would know if an object is approaching, or if the speed of the moving vehicle, the vehicle moving ahead, it is decreasing or not. Accordingly, there will be automatic brake application. Onboard driver assistance and warning system. That's what it is. They will warn in case the car is coming too close, and in fact even might honk. They might even ring the horn. So these are the warning systems that we are speaking of. In case the car needs to turn left, if we have a GPS enabled and the car needs to turn left, they will be automatically signaling on the left indicator. They will also warn in case an object is approaching them at a faster pace, or they need to shift the lane. This is the automatic onboard driver assistance and warning system. There will be bus signal priority system as well. See, if we know very clearly that there is a priority system, right? There's a priority, there is a fixed priority system in which ambulance needs to be given way, right? But here we are talking of conditional priority. What is it? See, when the whole lane is very busy, right? Going and coming, both the lanes are busy. And there are a lot of people standing aside because there are places, for example, San Francisco, New York, London. These are the places which are very, very popular for public transport. And if there are more people standing on the roads, and buses are also waiting in the queue because there is a lot of traffic, this is where conditional priority will be given to buses, and complete lane will be created for bus movement only for a time duration. That is called as conditional priority. conditional priority will be given bus signal priority system. So buses can move and pick up people, and traffic lights also will be designed in that way. So traffic light signals will be designed in a way that public transport gets facilitated. What a move, no? This will be enabled with the help of satellite systems. This will be enabled with the help of dynamic artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. Imagine all this, right? And one app called as a Cosmic app, Common Smart Internet of Things Connectivity app. Okay, great initiative. Okay, tour of duty scheme. What is it? So, if you remember, we had done in one of the feature news about the pension schemes in the country, no, and especially of the defense personnel, right? So the delay in pension and one rank one pension all was discussed there. Now this is where we also understood that there is a humongous delay and load of pension on the government. Thousands of crores have to be paid everywhere. In fact, new pension scheme was introduced in the year 2004-5, after which no government employee would be receiving pension barring the armed forces personnel. 2004-5. So civil services joining, you will not receive pension. They will be part of new pension scheme. You keep paying an amount, government will keep putting the same amount, and you will get a corpus, and after 60 years of age you also will receive some pension every month. That's true. But then armed forces will still be getting a pension, and they don't have to contribute per month, right? Statutory part of basic pay. So but then 12 lakh number of forces in the army itself, Indian Army. See, 12 lakh people and active duty, and then these tanks and rocket, everything is operated by young personnel only. No, we understood that as many as 80% of the armed forces people, they retire around the age of 35 age, and they retire, right? Early retirement. So government says that we will start a scheme called as Agnipath. It has been proposed that the name of the scheme would be Agnipath, and in that scheme around the people will be taken at an early age, and 25%, this is only a proposal, they will now write down the policies clearly. 25% of the people will retire by after serving 3 years in the armed forces. Next 25% will retire by serving 50% in the armed forces, and rest of the 50% will retire when they complete their complete tenure. So say 60 years or 54 years, whatever it be. A different rank and different retirement age exists in the armed forces. So this is what has been proposed. Why so? This will enable that the government doesn't have to pay humongous amount of pension later on, and doesn't have to carry the weight of the elder persons in the armed forces. Now, has this scheme been envisaged for all the ranks? That means people who are working as Jawans and the officers both? Right now, no. Only for the other ranks. Right now, for officers, there is already a short service commission in which people can choose to leave the armed forces if they have joined in the short service commission after completion of 15 years of tenure. For the officers grade, they have also looked at something called as golden handshake. What is golden handshake? Handshake is like, okay, all right, you're leaving the service, let's handshake, but this is a golden handshake because through this handshake, if you leave the service, you will be given a lot of benefits by the armed forces, right? So that post-retirement, you will be enough empowered to be able to join some other job. And they would also be given study leave. Study leave means a tenure of 2 years in which you can study at government expenses, and you would also be given 2 years of complete salary. This happens to civil services people also. So IS officers, IPS officers, revenue services, any service you get through, you can apply for 2 years of study leave throughout your career and complete post-graduation, PhD, whatever you want, right? This scheme is called as Agnipath scheme, a proposal right now, and ballooning of salary and pension. This is what we will avoid through this scheme. All right. So this is the update from here. Good, right? Defense. See, if we look at I'll show that to you someday. The budgetary expenses, and that too, a part of the revenue payments, a humongous amount of payment goes in salary expenditure only. And even when the government wants to expend more finances for capital expenditure in defense, it is still very meager. If we look at the capital expenditure, I think it is there has been a phenomenal increase, 35% increase in capital expenditure, right? But then it contributes to less than 20% of total defense budget. Where does the 80% go? Why? And many other places from here, right? Okay. The next that we discuss is the clearing out of bungalows and allotment of bungalows to the central government employees. So once you get into civil services, once Civil servants are ministers as well, no? Members of parliament. So once people become a member of parliament or ministers, they can apply for bungalows or houses, whatever they are entitled to, depending on their rank, pay and position, they can get that particular accommodation. So not only in Delhi, but there are designated locations throughout the country where the people can apply for these houses. So this is under Directorate of Estate, under Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And what they do is they help in allotment of bungalows and also in eviction. Many people, members of parliament or ministers who passed away. Ram Vilas Paswan passed away. His son has been still living in the bungalow allotted to him. So now, after repeated request and show cause notice for eviction, people did not leave. So their items have been put outside, and then this is how they have been made to evict. And imagine, these are the bungalows that have been existent in Lutyens, Delhi, the poshest location in the whole country, the most sought after places. And these are not 1 or 2 room homes. This is type 8 home, type 8 bungalow, which has 7 bedrooms and in addition 7 quarters, huge lawn, parking space, all covered, entities with the security guards, ministers. This is allotted to ministers, right? So many of these houses have still been encroached, and slowly steadily it has been removed by the Director of Estates. All right. So what is to understand in this article? What is to understand is, possibly could be used in ethics governance, where people who are working for people who are working as a public servant, they are encroaching upon the spaces. So are they leading by example? Not at all. So when they are themselves encroaching upon places illegally, there is no right for them to get people removed in case poor people are trying to live, right? BOLO App. This is the case study for today. Beautiful app which has been initiated, produced by Google. And in case any of us who doesn't know the pronunciation of English words properly, in fact, I am also learning pronunciation, and we all, different parts of India, different parts of the world, the same word is pronounced in different ways, right? Somebody says scheduled and somebody says scheduled, right? So American and British English accent, and then we have Gujarati accent and Marathi accent and Tamil accent and Bihari accent, Punjabi accent. Isn't it true? This is where BOLO App comes to help people. When people do not understand the actual pronunciation in English, BOLO App helps in pronunciation. So once we type anything, right, it converts that text into the audio and people can hear it. So this is the text to speech converter. This can also recognize our voice, whatever we speak. It recognizes the same, and it will also tell if we are correct in spelling, pronunciation or not. And once we are actually correct, it also spells out Sabash. It says Shabash, Zindabad. So that's the one. Great interactive app. And this also has got an artificial intelligent helper called as Dia. She helps here. So this is a great app for students to understand English better, right? It's like a tutor. And this does not even have ads. This can be used offline as well. It has got an intelligent artificial intelligence interpreter and a great initiative through which people can start learning various skills. Very quickly, I will also be discussing possibly in this week a feature news on the language issues, language crisis. We'll take up each of the issues one by one. The idea is not to discuss only the update, but to make you understand the whole thing in details. So today we have covered two articles in editorial section. One is on Pakistan and the whole ensuing crisis for the last 1.5 months. I've discussed what has been happening in the past, what has been Pakistan's internal issues all throughout. So have a look at that editorial. The second one is on women, which has been picked up from the Mint, and this is on women being asked to join back in the work from office culture. What are the impacts of this? What are the issues? What will be the resultant of this? And a survey conducted by LinkedIn, all is there in that particular editorial. So do definitely go through those editorials and note down the important points. The third editorial is on the RBI stance, right? Inflation has increased and growth targets have decreased. So that you are well aware of. We discussed of this yesterday itself. Now, this is how we come to the conclusion of this video. I'll take up the questions right now. And if you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments and shares. Let's take up some questions that you have here. Okay, SSC exam today. How was it, friends? Ashish, there is United Nations Civil Services as well. Yes. Hi, Soul. Good evening to you. Good evening and welcome. People from various civil services, people working in different capacities, they get through, and there is an admission procedure for getting through United Nations Civil Services as well. All right. Hima says, okay, all right. Good that you provided this full form of CATSA. Good, very good. America's banned policy, my soul, absolutely correct. Extraterritorial sanctions, good enough. Ashish says, recently an alleged rocket debris, old satellite debris fell from space in Chandrapur district in Maharashtra. Yes, they keep falling. If they don't burn out, in the atmosphere, they will fall, right? So I remember the accidents happening from the space, and even the debris of the astronauts, that also falls, right? The burnt debris of the astronauts. So more than 1.2 lakh crores of spent by the government on armed forces pension is what Amlan states. Okay, great enough. Now, this is the quick recap of what we studied today. Thank you for participation. Let's meet in the featured news for today, which is on World Energy Outlook report by Irene. All right. Thank you for participation. Questions, if you are viewing offline, please post it down in the comment section and we will get back to you. Thank you for participation. Do view the editorials as well. Very useful for you. Don't skip them. And prepare quick notes. Thank you and see you soon in the featured news.